Hi, so thank you for joining me today. This presentation, I will give you an official introduction about Saleshood Design System, Hoodie, and about how the future of Saleshood user experience will change with this. So my voice does not sound like it, but I'm really excited to tell you all about this. So a bit of self-intro. I'm Han Nguyen, a full stack engineer. I have been working at Salesforce for more than 3 years. I'm also a hobbyist designer and work as part of design team to deliver our Saleshood design system. So, what we are going to do today is giving you a sneak peek at our hoodie design system, starting with what it is, why we need to build it, what is the benefits, and most importantly, how it would change the way we build Saleshood in the future. This talk, I will dive into the change in process and how we apply design system, not about the underlying technology. Okay, so before going any further, let's get on the same page about what is a design system. This is quite an unfortunate term that's quick to get people the wrong idea. So many of you, if you haven't heard about design system yet, at this point may want to walk away thinking that must be for designers, so not my thing. So I can assure you here that it's relevant to all of you as product builders. So now I'm gonna quote from Brad Frost, a famous web developer who is the one behind the concept of atomic design, which is a backbone of design system. So design system is not about designers, but how the whole organization design and build digital products. I will delve into it much more details as we go, but basically we are changing the way we build feature into building a small blocks of reusable piece of user experience like predefined design in code blocks and use it as building blocks to create new feature, new functionality, new page or flows. So we are building design system, that's for sure. And if you're among the people who knows about it, you may say, well, we doing what pretty much like everyone's doing. Well, true, it's a hot thing. Because just take a look at how successful a design system brings to Apple or Google or any big company. They establish their UI UX with their design system so well that's it ingrained into users' minds. And you often hear some people talk about how some design system look Apple-like or Google-like. That's how big of an impact just visual impression on users' mind that a great design system brought about. So, are we doing it from a FOMO? Well, yes. No, actually no. The main drive for my striving to create a design system for Salesforce is it incorporates the two key things to deliver the best product. It focuses on the best end user experience and it empowers the product builders, product design, developer, QA in their work. Okay, so let's talk about the user experience because I think it's the most notable thing to recognize as problems. And you will see how empowering the product builders will also improve UX output dramatically. So a bit of flashback. Our company has started 7 years ago, and that's also the age of our web application. Throughout all the years, along with the fast growth and development, the interface has gone through many changes. In order to make up with the rapid feature development and releases, UI elements are widely and liberally defined with multiple variations across platform. Consequently, mixed styling codes keep piling up, which impacts the performance overall. At the same time, the liberal definition makes the screens and pages become cross-dependent, meaning this style of this location smashing with code from other places. At the end, we have a bubble of Spidey code with one small change, like changing the width of input in homepage, may break the whole report page. And that's just for the technical side. On the front side, user will have to experience inconsistencies, slow performance, or clunky behavior. But it's not really only recently that we are aware of this. We actually have attempted to spend much effort to address either problems with UI 2.0 project targeting the look and feel problem for the homepage. On the code base, we try to incorporate modular styling to remove dependencies. We actually have come a long way. We used to have feedback that we look like 1990s website. With the new homepage and dashboard, the response on the log becomes much better. But we have not really come far enough, since it only scratched the surface of the problems we have. We build without any foundation or guidelines to base on, so while the stylings overlapping, creating conflicts, every page or interface structure are independent from each other's. You change the UI in homepage, there's like 50 more pages you need to change as well to match the new UI style. So, okay, let's take a look at this. Do you know we have like a plethora of flavors of buttons across platform? And this is not considered some variation in height or padding or font size. Moreover, this is just how they look on the outside. You see as user. Wait and see the code. Some of them may look the same. You thought that the code must be the same, but well, unfortunately, no. If you think that you're too naive like me once, this is how the code looks like. You can see there's too many ways to define the same exactly button. So my point here is, from the implementation perspective, each of this represents effort. It's time, it's energy, it's effort from every single dev, designer, QA. And when we multiply it with every single variation in flavors like this across the whole platform, these overhead efforts are enormous and sadly unnecessary. So the tools, the process, the setup we've been using made our mindset stuck into a static page mindset. We treat a web page as an unevolved thing. When it's done, it's done. Well, actually, you know for sure it's not. Even during the development, we change the requirement in the look constantly in order to bring out the best. We keep iterating on the UI constantly. So here with the old way, each time we build a page, innovate or modify UI, we got to go back and forth finding the place where it has the same design to like copy and paste, replacing the slides, and go scouting to see if this matches others places. And here I'm talking for both design and development side. Most of the time we cannot afford that much, and we are pressured by the timeline, and that resulted in consistencies of Frankenstein product, like we have multiple apps inside just one. Okay, so what if instead of all the efforts for re-implementing the button on each page or feature, we just create a button component like a template that's flexible and capable of satisfying every use case we need based on configuration. At the same time, can ensure the look, the behavior across every place. So it's like you work with Google Sheets or Excel, right? So if I need a cell in the third column to be a result, the sum to previous cells, the straightforward way is to manually calculate it and put the result in the third cell, right? But what happens if the column has 1000 rows? Should I do the manual calculation on every single cell? No, personally I'm second math, so I just cannot do that. Of course, but no one would manually do so. You will use the familiar, right? That's why we have Excel. Just use the sum, configure the variable, and apply it for every single cell that needs. I don't have to care about the math calculation, and it saves so much time, and I'm sure the result is as expected. Here, the formula is exactly what is the design system component is. Not only this help we build faster, but it also ensures consistency. Human nature is reluctant to change, and it becomes a UX rule of thumb. User needs every behavior in their app to be intuitive and under their expectation. So that's why consistency is a key success in UX. Therefore, design system is not just about improving UI or amazing new look and feel across the platform, but it's also an evolution of our product design process, optimizing and at the same time simplifying the way we build Saleshood. So this is not just about delivering the best experience to users, but also to deliver the best experience possible to product builders. Building a page is like gathering Lego blocks and putting them together. And every time we create a new page, you don't need to build it from scratch. Instead, you create a layout, choosing the right components and plug them in. Simply as that. No, actually, you still have to work with the instruction, the logic, but as you can see, there's a lot of burden that been carried out so that you can focus on other more important things. But anyway, the idea is to create this reusable component that allows you to sort of centralize all those properties under one roof. So that's the gist. Now let's just officially summarizing all the benefits we have with design system. So the first one is, of course, reduce technical debt. From a code base standpoint, we have a bunch of spidey and we have to kind of slowly slice at that spidey and land in a place where we actually have a more proactive state with our code base rather than just constantly punch right through the bunch of code and hope it would get sorted out somehow. We want to be able to iterate over our products more efficiently. And yes, design system obviously helps that with the modular building methodology. The second is faster build. So we want to be able to get the custom features out as quickly as possible. And here I'm not talking about just moving like 20% faster. I'm talking about moving from months or weeks to just days when we have the design system components integrated with our process. As the company is scaling, the team would be split horizontally into product squad in order to be able to work independently and deliver feature more efficiently. Design system will have so much in order to make this happen. UI components are delegated to components, and so product squad just need to focus on building real feature, solving the business needs. If something broke, then design systems team will handle that while product squad continues to focus on their features. Once the fix is done, everywhere you can apply the patch, so it ensures consistencies and iterative improvement. This is what we call a separation of concern. Okay, so the new process will lead to the benefit of producing better quality output and reducing testing efforts. QA team, when testing feature, don't need to care about the visual test case for components. That will be separated task in design system team, and it results in less of overlapping test case. Of course, our application will also be easier to upgrade and maintain since we use the instance of one component everywhere. It handled in the upgrade and we get the new features and the new functionalities of the components available. It will also establish as a future-friendly foundation to keep modifying, extending, and improve over time. Centralizing components separately from other feature-related codebase also make it much easier to adopt new technology or evolve the look and feel. Building a great interface is pretty hard. You have to consider so many things from responsiveness, the browser compatibility, accessibility, the reading direction, localization, internationalization, and theming. How can we achieve all of those above things to deliver great experience while at the same time still have to focus on solving business needs, implementing features? If we don't separate the concern, it's just impossible. And for the theming, I will talk about it later for how easily the new design system would open up for a custom theming feature with design tokens. And most importantly, design system resulted in a consistent look and feel. So now you must have the ideal design system, so let's get to an official definition. I would like to quote from Nathan Curtis, who is referred as design system god. So basically, Nathan says that the design system is a definition of visual style that's implemented by UI components, the design, that relies the style and then based on that to create with version code blocks of HTML, CSS, JavaScript, along with guidelines and documentation. And it's produced by a team that's focused on supporting product teams building products by leveraging that design system. As you can see, it aligned really well with the way that we were thinking about approach our design system. We realize and know that the look and feel of our products have to improve. We don't want to receive feedback like our app looks from 1990s or so clunky. So we have to get to the best user experience possible. But to be able to successfully do so, we have to have guidelines and principles first that underpin the whole thing to really help create cohesion and make not only our web application but also mobile app or any future product cohesive across the board. And just from that, we can focus on create these reusable UI components that would help us create the new look and feel, and at the same time, speed up design, speed up development, and the more we use them, the more consistent our experiences are. So, what have we got? So, one critical part of design system is the documentation. Components need to reference by documentation, leaving style guide for designer and developers to test, learn about it, and for any consumer, the product builders, to know how to use it, try out the variations, the parameters, and all the behaviors. We need that to be evolved with the components so that the implementation will always stay true to the original guidelines. So let's see what we have. Here we have the living docs. What it means that it stay involved with the components. We have two kinds of docs. First, the storefront is a storage for the foundations, the guidelines, the general usage of components, and the previews. Its audiences are the product team, design, or any member who wants to know about the backbone, the concept, and theory of the design system. And the second is the playground. It's for checking out the actual implementation. You can go there and see how it's implemented, check out the configuration, the code demo, and its audiences are the consumer developers, QA or designers. The product team needs to validate the implementation or actually play with it and make some tweak. Okay, so the theories it's done. And now I will start to demo with you guys about the storefronts and also the playground. So this is our storefront. Here you will be able to find any information about the design system, like the foundation, how to get started as developer or designers, and to explore any extra information and guidelines about Hoodie, like the identities, or to browse any information about the components themselves. And we also have a gallery for any further exploration. So let's take a look at the guideline page. Here in the overview, you can see we have the principles, the link to the subsections in the guidelines, and here we have the patterns with the same structure. We have implemented many UI patterns for Hoodie, and it also have clear guidelines here. So let's take a look at the component. You can see that we have the clear definition, production status, overview, example, and also design specs, which is the guidelines to how it would be implemented in the design and development. And here the usage. At the end, we have the playground. So that's it for our storefront. Next up, I will show you a sneak peek at our playground. Our playground is implemented using Storybook. You will find the live demo of each component here. You can interact, tweak the configuration, see the code usage, and you can see this is more tech-oriented comparing to the storefront. So we're looking at the avatar right now, and well, as you can see that on the main section is a preview pane, and well, the control types here, which is the most important, consists of all available configurations we can have for the avatar component. And these configurations are designed and reflected from the decisions made in the design specs, which you can see on this Zeppelin tab. And well, this is similar to the one you see on the storefront. And so for each of the configuration, you can see the options and view how it plays out once you applied it. For example, I will change this shape configuration now to see how it looks. The default is square. Now let's change to circle. And on the preview pane, the avatar's shape has changed to the circle to reflect the change I made. The story type here is a code generated. As you can see, when consumer developer uses this, there's only one line of code he needs to paste in with necessary information, which he has checked in the controls tab. Then every styling and behavior has already baked in the component. He doesn't have to care about anything else. And so next up, I will talk about the tokens tab, which is the fourth tab. Therefore, design tokens. I have briefly mentioned earlier, design tokens represents design decision of the component, the color, height, the width, and you can check out the storefront to know more about why we use design token. But basically, it helps abstract out the hard code value with kind of variables so that we can be able to change the actual value without touching the code. This would help the theming implementation become so much easier. Like instead of go through all the code, finding the value to replace, we just need to override the variables with our desired values. Also, it really helps in case you want to test out new small change. For example, as designer or product manager, you want to test a modification on a component. Normally, it requires dev to change it for you to test out, which is really time-consuming. And here's with design tokens, you can achieve something like that with much less effort and time. So this will be done by the theme playground, which is the last tab. So now let's take a look at the theme playground. It displays all the tokens applying for avatar component and their values. And I can actually change that value. So now I will change the border radius token, which is currently 50 for circle, to 0. And on the preview pane, you will see how it plays out. There's no need for any code-based change or extra design work to make it happen. So you can tell how much time can we save from all the back and forth with the help of design system. And there are some other types and plugins used for testing and validation also, which I will not delve into that in this presentation. Okay, so that's for the living documentations, and through the living documentation demo, you can see how the design system Hoodie is set up. And as you can see, it's a lot of effort to make this happen. So let's see if it's worth. So I will demo a sample flow of a designer working in a feature when using components. Just because people often horrified seeing a bunch of text and code, so I will just show an example in design sign. But the general idea of how it's done in the development is basically the same. I will open a file that one designer is currently working on. It includes both the UI screen with the old way of working with the UI and the new way of applying the components, so it's easier to make the comparison. Okay, so you can see here is the mockup of the Hoodie template. And well, let's take a look at the timeline item here. So the timeline item is created by a text, an icon, and a rectangle. And the next item as well is also made up of the same elements. So if I need to create a similar component, I have to copy and paste it over and change the text. And well, if I have another component, with the similar elements but change of the state, for example, so I have to copy it over and change the color of the text for the icon in the text, so that it reflects the new variation, the new state of that component. And as you can see, if I have another page, I have to do the similar action. And when I change the style in the background of that component, for example, I will have to go to every place that have that component to modify it. And I have to emphasize that it's super time consuming. So let's get to the new way. So here we have the schedule Hoodie model, which we already have applied the components in design system. So for example, here you can see that every component is already a symbol, which is a component term in Sketch. And with making every component is a symbol, I can just call it out and change the configuration as what I have done in the playground demo. Here is like I call out the input, and I can change it to match the width of the model. And now I just have to configure the necessary configuration to match it. For example, here we didn't have the hypertext, so I will just remove it. Okay, I will find the configuration, and now we remove it. Also, we didn't have the validation text here. It is the initial state, so it doesn't have the validation text. So I will remove it as well. And now we have the same layout. Now we just have to change to contain the text to match it. Okay, and the placeholder. As you can see, I can just recreate the input in seconds instead of having to re-rename creating every single box, text, and text style. And if I need to change the component itself, I will just edit in the library button. and it will apply the change in the component library to every single file that have that component. So it's really easy, and you can see the power design system here is really powerful and help the process become much easier. So that sums up our presentation for the Hoodie design system. So thank you for listening, and if you have any question, just feel free to ask. So thank you. Goodbye.